To think that I would just walk away 10 minutes before the caucus and say, forget about you guys. I mean, who would do something like that?
Ben, I'm sorry.
A key moment from last night's final Republican debate just hours before the voting starts here in New Hampshire, and it's time now for our special Sunday group. Anchor of Special Report, Bret Baier, Julie Pace, who covers the White House for the Associated Press. We're honored to have former New Hampshire Republican Governor John Sununu. We're actually honored to have all of you, but especially him, and James Pindell, political reporter from the Boston Globe. So, Governor Sununu, your reaction to last night's debate, who helped themselves, who didn't?
I certainly think the general consensus that the governors did well is correct. I think the three of them acting in concert really reinforced the message they were trying to give, that experience is important. I think Senator Rubio did step in it a couple of times, but I think a lot of folks have missed the two nuggets Rubio got out of the night. I think his answer on life energized the pro-life community, and there is a huge chunk of folks out there that really do think that President Obama is messing the country up on purpose. And even though he repeated it 3 times and got criticized for it, I think he at least got a nugget of benefit from those folks that think he was on target.
Julie, you were the lead reporter who wrote the big AP story overnight. Your thoughts, how bad was the Rubio meltdown, and are we talking about Rick Perry oops territory here?
Well, if you talk to voters in New Hampshire who are undecided about Rubio, one of the questions that they do have is about his experience, about the fact that he has only been in the Senate for 1 term. Does he have the qualifications? And I think that this could reinforce for some of those voters that there may not be another level, or he may just be too cautious and scripted. At the same time, a lot of those voters want somebody who is a good communicator, who is able to maybe bring more people into the party. But the challenge for him is going to be that there are a lot of undecideds. And if this is seen as a really tough night for him, they could move to one of these governors who did have, I think, strong nights.
Bret, you've been all over the state the last few days, and I want you to sort of take big picture. Your sense of this race and the degree to which last night's debate reshaped it.
Well, I think it does shuffle the deck. I think Donald Trump is a beneficiary because going in, he has a big lead. I talked to him last night after the debate, and he said, I was just looking for the clubhouse in golf terms. You know, he was just kind of playing it safe, and I think he's finding the clubhouse. And we'll see how the Rubio moment changes things. I do think it was nice that Governor Christie welcomed you to your show this morning.
I was very grateful.
With that. I think the key thing in New Hampshire, Chris, as we talk about, is the 40% undeclared here. And they can either vote in the Democrat or Republican primary. They can go in that day, decide. And you're talking about a lot of people that can shift just for that day. John Kasich may benefit that way, too.
James, you've been following this, you know, except for Governor Sununu, we all come up here just before. You've been following this for months. Your sense of the race, your sense of the debate, is Trump holding on to his lead? Which of the 4, and boy, they hate it when I say that, the 4 so-called establishment candidates is gaining traction here?
Yeah, I think I was caught by a couple of things. Number one, all week, the question about Trump is not whether or not he will take himself out by something he says or some rival will take him out. It's really a question about his ground game. The same questions we had following Iowa. Can he actually get these people out to vote? Now, they've really put a lot of effort in the last month, but how efficient and how targeted those efforts are. And look, when you go to his rallies, we got to be honest. A lot of those people are not from New Hampshire. The people who are working in his call centers are people who are so devoted to him, they have moved up here for the last 3 weeks. But in terms of that establishment lane, I think we saw one key thing flip this week. And that is, for so many months, this campaign has been about the anger of the base and whether or not these candidates actually get it. Right now, we're starting to see a little bit of a flip among some of the rank and file on who could actually beat Hillary, who could actually beat Bernie, and that's what Marco Rubio was able to ride that wave earlier this week. Now there are some questions about it. I mean, I don't know how many people watched the debate last night, if we're being honest, the Saturday night debate, but the news coverage that Marco Rubio had such a bad night will have an impact.
I was going to say, I mean, you got to think that this.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to absolutely have an impact.
And to the degree we're talking about late deciders, to have this happen to him 2 days before the primary is not.
1/3 of Republican voters say they're still making up their minds, and Brett's right. This is all about the independent voters right now, and they've got a number of different choices. Yes, Donald Trump is winning them on the Republican side. John Kasich is obviously doing well, trying to appeal to them. But then there's a question about Bernie Sanders. I mean, his lead here is based on 3 things. He's from nearby.
Let's wait. We're going to talk about the Democrats in the next one, so hold that thought.
Good.
Governor Sununu, I think it's fair to say, I've been reading your clips. To put it mildly, you are not a fan of Donald Trump. I got to say, I thought he had a pretty good night last night.
Actually, I thought he didn't. I thought he flubbed the eminent domain issue badly, which is an important issue to Republicans. I thought his answer on conservatism might get him a C in an English class, but it'll get him an F in political science amongst conservatives. And I really do think he made a fool of himself on his answer on health care, that he's going to put a program in and it'll keep people from dying in the streets. There was nothing there.
I actually think that he had a good night for 2 reasons. One, he started right off the top reminding voters of some of the things that he said in this campaign that got him a lot of support from the beginning, his positions on immigration and his positions on blocking Muslims from coming to the U.S. And then the focus on Marco Rubio took a lot of the attention away from him in terms of direct attacks from his rivals, with the exception of Governor Bush. And I think he emerged relatively unscathed. If you were looking to go after him and try to knock him down in New Hampshire, I'm not sure that many of his rivals accomplished that.
And we're not talking about somebody here, Ted Cruz, who, for Ted Cruz, I don't think had his best debate night. He's obviously really good in that environment. But because of the Rubio-Christie exchange at the beginning, largely the night went away for Ted Cruz, and he probably benefits in the long run. Because all of the governors had a good night, that dilutes the fact that Rubio had such a bad night and Trump, you know, kind of sails towards the clubhouse.
And let me bring that up with you, Jim, in the seconds we have left, because what we were seeing going into that debate was that Trump's lead, still sizable, but it was slow, it was slipping away, and it was slipping away to Rubio. So if Trump had a relatively good night, Governor Sununu to the contrary notwithstanding, doesn't that actually stand Trump in good stead?
I think this was a very good night for Donald Trump for those exact same reasons. And remember, this was a really confusing week in terms of that establishment lane, if we're going to talk about it. Rubio definitely rose. That made sense. But the other 3 did not go down. Just Chris Christie went down. Kasich and Bush really held their own. So it's going to be interesting to see. And remember, when we talk about going up, we're talking about going up almost within the margin of error. So this thing is a jump ball.
All right. We have to take a break here, panel.